Yes. So today is our second class for IR. All right. So any problem from the previous class? Any doubt? Any problem? Anything you want to ask? Nothing. Why so? Online students, any problem you faced while studying the previous class? No problem. Just tell. Any problem? No. Have you watched the previous class? नहीं. चलो कोई बात नहीं. No problem. Okay. So in the previous class, we just had a quick discussion of the syllabus of IR. All right. And in today's class, what we are going to do is we will be discussing about first thing that was the India's foreign policy during the time of Britishers. All right. The second thing that we will be discussing in today's class is basically the foreign policy that India saw after like independence. So after 1947, so Jawaharlal Nehru was the first prime minister. So under his leadership until the present prime minister's leadership, what is basically the gradual evolution of India's foreign policy, we will be dealing with that in the subsequent classes. All right. After that, we will be moving on to the India's relations with the other countries. All right. So as of now, just see this thing that what happened during the time of Britishers. So what was basically the policy of Britishers to deal with India. So the policy of Britishers was in a way that, for example, what they used to do is, so this is basically the present India. You know this very well. Come in, come in, come in. Have I taught you previously? है ना? Both of you. कौन से वाली क्लास में? इसमें? Morning. Oh, okay. Yes, I remember. See, we are going to study about the evolution of India's foreign policy. पिछली क्लास देखी? अच्छा, nice. So now this is India, present India. But just see, please come in. हाँ, वो 2 घंटे पहले आया था शायद ना. हाँ, आई रिमेम्बर दिस. ओके. नहीं, आज से था, बट आपको यूट्यूब लिंक भी मिल गई होगी ना. हाँ, ठीक है. सो देखो, this is present India, but just imagine before independence, during the time of Britishers, this was not just India. Okay, India comprised of this particular portion also, including this portion. All right. So the territorial extent of India was actually so vast. All right. And maintaining this particular territorial extent is actually a very big task for the Britishers. So now the problem was, whatever was done by the Britishers was obviously in the interest of the colonial powers only, was in the interest of London only. Now the people in London, they were basically taking the decisions on how India's foreign policy will be made. Right. Now one thing was there. Now here in Russia above, there was Tsarist regime. Okay, the Tsar ruler was basically ruling until 1917 when Bolshevik revolution happened there. Okay, until then Tsar ruler was there. Okay, in China also monarchical system was there. All right, there was in the I would say in the eastern part, nearby Europe, there was basically the increasing power of Alexander. Above India, there was Russia and China. So from these three major powers, from the Europe, from Russia, and from China, the Britishers, or I would say the British government of India, faced a very big threat. They were very much threatened by the growing influence of Russia. Okay, and there is one word that is often referred in the foreign policy during the time of foreign policy of the Britishers, that is called as Russophobia. Okay, now Russophobia was a word. So basically, they wanted to protect this very big Indian subcontinent. All right. So for that thing, they pursued one policy, and what we call that particular policy in the modern time, we call that as buffer state policy. What exactly is buffer state policy? So buffer state policy is basically the policy. For example, this is the government of British government of India. Now what they will do is, this is for example a nearby state. Okay, there were two concentric circles. Okay, there were two concentric circles. One was the outer and one was the inner circle. All right. From in the outer circle, what the Britishers did, they found three major states. Okay, one was basically Iran. Okay, in Iran they did not had any time direct control in Iran, but what they did, they basically they had major influence in Iran. All right, so here Iran was there, here Tibet was there, and here Nepal was also there. Okay, no, not Nepal. Nepal was in the inner circle. It's Afghanistan was there. Okay, so Iran, Afghanistan, and basically आपका ऊपर तिब्बत. ठीक है, because Tibet was a independent state. All right, was not a part of China until 1950. Okay, now what happened, they basically signed several agreements. Okay, except Iran, they basically invaded Afghanistan also. You remember, you have studied in history also, in 1839 and 1878 they invaded Afghanistan. What was the reason behind invasion of Afghanistan? To basically install a puppet ruler in Afghanistan, so that the puppet ruler will take the decisions according to the Britishers, and that will basically act as a buffer. ओके, सी व्हाट हैपेंस, अगर ये स्टेट है और ये इंडिया है, अगर ये भी डायरेक्ट केवल इंडिया का पार्ट बन जाए तो क्या होगा, इंडिया की बाउंड्री टच हो जाती फिर चाइना और रशिया के साथ में. Okay, they did not wanted to fully submerge this particular state within the government of the British India, but they wanted to basically just do one thing. Now understand buffer policy क्या थी कि for example you are a part of the buffer state. Now what was the policy? आप रूल करो. I am not saying कि I will rule, you rule, but only for the internal affairs. For the external and the foreign affairs, who will take the decision? We will be taking the decision. Are you getting the point? So that was basically the buffer policy of British India. All right. So these two concentric circles, in the inner concentric circle, it was basically the Nepal, it was Bhutan. All right, so these were the states in the inner concentric circle, and to outer, to protect it from outside, it was Afghanistan, Iran, and Tibet. All right, and one, you have you done your modern history? Okay, in modern history, you will also see there was one Indian state also, which was earlier basically the province of British India, that was Awadh. All right, Awadh was an internal state of India that also acted as a buffer state. Okay, so they basically invade or tried to get a full control of Awadh, to basically make Awadh as a buffer state. All right, so are you able to understand what was exactly the policy of the Britishers to basically maintain their colonial interest in India? There was one incident was also there. There was basically news of a treaty of Tilsit between Alexander and basically the Tsarist ruler. Okay, now this Tilsit treaty was a very big alarm to the British Empire. According to this treaty, they basically jointly had this treaty to basically jointly invade into India. Okay, from the western side. Okay, now just by hearing this particular news of this treaty, the Britishers were very much alarmed. They just started sending their embassies, their ambassadors to the various states to basically sign agreement with those states to stop it. Okay, and one more thing, one very I would say a mind-opening thing will be there. See, the British had no as such friendship with Russia. Okay, they did not had any such friendship, but still in the First World War they fought alongside the Russia. Why was it? Was they basically having some good friendship or something like that? No, it's not like that. The major reason why Britain and Russia signed the convention in 1907 to come together, later on joined the war from the same front also, it was basically the same reason was that there. Okay, because the Britishers knew this thing. if in case the Russia will fight against the British Empire, in that case they will get a very good opportunity and will directly invade India. Okay, and in that case the Britishers are going to lose their colonial interest from India. All right, so this was also a very big reason why they were together in basically fighting in the World War. All right, so these are the things. Now this was a buffer state policy which was basically used by the Britishers to to safeguard the colonial interest in India, Indian subcontinent. The another thing was also they sent so many ambassadorial basically they had some embassy relations also. Okay, in the neighboring states they used to send Rajdoot, what we call in basically Hindi is Rajdoot. Okay, they used to deliberately send those Rajdoots to basically maintain diplomatic ties with those states. All right, so this was also one another part of their foreign policy. All right, so you have now you have a fair understanding of what this policy, what was the policy of the Britishers. You have a fair understanding, समझ में आ रहा है? हाँ, एक्सप्रेशन इतने सीरियस क्यों, इतने सीरियस होकर नहीं पढ़ते हैं, डोंट बी दिस मच सीरियस, सीरियस हो लेकिन हाँ आपको आ रहा है. ऑनलाइन स्टूडेंट्स प्लीज टेल मी, आर यू पीपल एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड?
Yes,
आर
sir.
यस, ओ नाइस. ऑनलाइन स्टूडेंट्स की आवाज सुनने को मिल जाती है तो मजा आ जाता है, क्योंकि ऑनलाइन स्टूडेंट्स बोलते नहीं है. अरे व्हाई आर यू राइटिंग, जस्ट स्पीक, ताकि सो दैट आई कैन आल्सो गेट अ फील कि यू पीपल आर नॉट देयर एट योर होम, यू पीपल आर आल्सो हियर. चलो अब देखो, नाउ राइट. ओके, अभी कुछ लिख लेते हैं, ठीक है. लेट्स राइट समथिंग. और समझ के लिखना है ना. डोंट बेसिकली उस क्लास में तो मैंने खाली पीपीटी से पढ़ाया था, है ना, बिकॉज दैट्स अ बेसिक क्लास. ओके, नाउ दिस इज अ मेजर बेसिकली योर जीएस पोर्शन, है ना. सो इसमें वी कैन नॉट अफोर्ड टू जस्ट हाँ, है ना. सो दैट्स व्हाई यार, क्या एक पेन में भी मुझे इतनी टेक्नोलॉजी आती नहीं है ड्यूरिंग द टाइम ऑफ ब्रिटिशर्स. ठीक है. हम्म, इतनी टेक्नोलॉजी ना मुझे आती नहीं है, आप लोगों को ज्यादा आती है टेक्नोलॉजी. हाँ, तो अच्छा नहीं, एक सेकंड, एक एक टॉपिक रह गया है लास्ट क्लास से, ठीक है. आपने तो देखी है, आपने देखी, आपने नहीं, किसी ने एक टॉपिक रह गया है, ठीक है. सॉरी सॉरी, वेरी सॉरी, अभी इस हेडिंग को थोड़ा सा रोको, ठीक है. आई रिमेम्बर जो हम डिटर्मिनेंट्स पढ़ रहे थे ना, we were studying the determinants of foreign policy. All right, so what are the basic factors, what are the major factors that determines the foreign policy of any country? All right, so one another, so third determinant is basically the economic development. Okay, see what happens is, see, just imagine this thing, just stop writing and just understand. Now the foreign policy of South Africa or the African countries is very different from India's foreign policy. We can be very rigid on our stand, we can be very authoritative on our stand, but do you think Rwanda can also be that much authoritative on their stand with regards to their foreign policy? No. Why is it so? Because of the economic development, obviously. Because of the economic development of a country, the economy of a country gives it a strength. Indira Gandhi, when she basically visited USA, okay, to meet the president of United States of America, she was kept on waiting for 4 hours. And today, it is not because Modi is there, it is because our strength is that much that when Prime Minister Modi visits to USA, the president of the USA comes by breaking their protocol. They basically comes and welcome the Prime Minister. Why is it so? Because of the economy of our country. Because we have a certain level of economic growth that the US thinks that by maintaining good relations with India, their economy will also be benefited in terms of trade. Okay, so just write the third one, right? Economic development. Economic development. I don't know. You have written everything, na? Can you tell her कितने pages हुए हैं अभी तक? 3 to 4 pages you just keep. So लिख लिया ना आपने? Now write the economic condition and development goals of a country shapes its foreign relations. And just write, in India, now see, what we need more FDI, we need more trade. Okay, so in India, trade, investment, and technology and active role in World Trade Organization are the key drivers of India's foreign policy. Now, next is, now write the fifth one, fourth one, right? है ना? Fourth one. It's the internal settings of our country. Internal settings. Okay. Now, what is the meaning of this internal settings? What happens is there are key institutions and leaders who takes the decisions. Okay, now let us first talk about, like, for example, there is a monarchical country. In monarchical country, a single or basically few, okay, few people, they just take the decision. Okay, so they take their decision according to their wish, whatever they want, whatever they like, they basically do that. Okay, yes, few factors are there that influences their decision making, but that's very different, but it majorly depends upon the wishes of these leaders. But see, in India, which is a democratic country, do you think Prime Minister Modi takes the decision according to his own will? No, not at all. Even the constitution, okay, the constitution also influences basically the decision making. Article 51 of Indian Constitution, all right, that basically tells, that instructs the government that the state shall make the foreign policy for basically they must mutually respect the other country, sovereignty of other country, peaceful coexistence, respect, and all that. So here constitution is there, here parliament is there. Okay, so anything whatever you sign abroad has to be ratified by the parliament. So parliament is a body. So internal settings of a country also influences the foreign policy of a country. All right, so just write in this. So the internal system of a country, the internal system of a country influences the decisions, influences the decisions. Okay, Aarti and Vishnu, where were you yesterday? कल yesterday तो only Harshika was there. आप लोग कहाँ थे? क्यों नहीं आए थे? So right, which includes which includes the political leadership, comma, institutions, ब्रैकेट में लिख लो पार्लियामेंट, कॉमा, एग्जीक्यूटिव, comma, public opinion. Even what is there, the general public opinion of the people of the country, that also influences the making of IFP, Indian foreign policy, right? And even bureaucracy. Okay, So bureaucracy is a very big thing that basically influences the decision making in a country, right? So bureaucracy, because India is highly a bureaucratic country and the technicalities are basically done by the bureaucrats, okay, that also influences, right? तो अब देखो ऐसा एक लिखो कि strong leadership is very much required, right? Strong leadership plus national consensus is equals to effective ऐसी चीजें लिख के आनी है मेंस में, ठीक है? ये these are very innovative things है ना, that you have to write in your answer, ठीक है? कि देखो पूरे एक strong leadership, देखो अब ऐसे देखो एक एग्जांपल देता हूं मैं, ठीक है? सेम टाइम पर आफ्टर द सेकेंड वर्ल्ड वॉर इंडिया बिकेम इंडिपेंडेंट, बर्मा ऑल्सो ऑलमोस्ट एट द सेम टाइम बिकेम इंडिपेंडेंट, 49 में श्रीलंका भी हुआ था, ठीक है? पाकिस्तान तो खैर अपना ही भाई है, ठीक है? खैर बोलते हैं ना मैड चाइल्ड विद अ लोडेड गन, ठीक है? इट्स अ मैड चाइल्ड विद अ लोडेड गन, तो अपना ही है, कोई नहीं मान जाएगा। तो आज सी इंडिया एंड सी दीज कंट्रीज, व्हाट्स द मेन डिफरेंस, व्हाई इंडिया इज अ वाइब्रेंट डेमोक्रेसी एंड दोस आर नॉट? कहीं मिलिट्री आ गई, कहीं सरकार गिर गई, कहीं स्टूडेंट्स ने जो है बर्बाद कर दिया, जो है प्राइम मिनिस्टर को भगा दिया, कहीं जो है पार्लियामेंट में घुस करके जो है सब तोड़ फोड़ कर दी, श्रीलंका, है ना? बट इंडिया में ऐसा नहीं है कि सरकार ने रोक के रखा है तो नहीं हो रहा है, अरे एवरीथिंग इज गोइंग ऑन वेल। तो रीजन क्या है? द रीजन इज स्ट्रॉन्ग लीडरशिप, ठीक है? अगर जिन्ना नहीं मरा होता तो शायद पाकिस्तान का हाल वो नहीं हुआ होता, ठीक है? गलत था, खराब था, देश को तोड़ दिया, बट जिसको तोड़ा उसके लिए वो बहुत स्ट्रांग था, ठीक है? अगर उसको टीबी नहीं हुआ होता तो शायद पाकिस्तान में मिलिट्री कू नहीं आया होता, ठीक है? तो स्ट्रॉन्ग लीडर्स, अरे व्हाई नॉट, डेफिनेटली, है ना? कैन यू प्लीज टीच इन इंग्लिश? यस यस आई विल। I'm just saying what is the main reason why the countries around us that became independent during almost the same time when India became independent, they are not at all a vibrant democracy like what India is, okay? They are witnessing constant coup, okay? There the system is completely overturned, okay? They are witnessing some other events like the military rule, all right? So the main reason is that we had a very strong leadership, okay? The internal setting of India was very strong. We had Jawaharlal Nehru. Now there are two school of thought who basically criticizes Jawahar. Yeah, please come in. There are two school of thoughts who basically, one is that criticizes Jawaharlal Nehru to be, यहाँ दिखेगा आपको? Can you sit there? That will be better. हाँ ये वहाँ बेस्ट, और थोड़ा कंजेस्टेड ना हो, इसको इधर उधर कर लो, या चलेगा, है ना? चलेगा, हाँ। So now there are two school of thought. The one school of thought that I will tell you while doing the evolution of the foreign policy during the time of Nehru. Now one school of thought basically alleges that Nehru was idealist, okay? The another school of thought basically says that he was whether being idealist but followed the realist policies, all right? So yeah, so the strong leadership and also national consensus is also very much required. What is the meaning of national consensus? See, do you think that the leader can take the decision which the people of the country will not accept? Never. It can never happen. We just saw this in the case when those three agricultural bills were basically passed by the parliament. People resisted that and the government took it back. Isn't this true? So yes, national consensus is also very much required. And these two things, okay, leads to the effective foreign policy, all right? Clear? So we are studying for you. We are studying the determinants of Indian foreign policy. What are the factors that determines the foreign policy of any country? All right. So in this, we have already dealt with the four factors. Okay. So now coming on to the fifth factor, you are writing in pages. Okay, that will be good for you. So now just put the fifth heading. Okay, fifth heading of the determinants of foreign policy. Oh, some birthday celebration is there on the third floor, I think. Yeah. So fifth is international, in bracket, right? External setting. Okay. No, this is very easy to understand. Okay. Now, whatever is happening at the international level, whatever thing is happening at the world level is definitely going to impact our foreign policy. Isn't this obvious? Because when we became independent at that time, there was basically the Cold War that got started. Okay. Some scholars say that it already got started after 1917, when basically the Bolshevik Revolution happened. Okay. Some scholar, the majority of the scholars says, my work is basically to tell you about all the school of thoughts. Okay, so majority of the scholars accept this thing that after the Second World War, after the yes, Second World War, basically the Cold War started. All right. So during the Cold War, our foreign policy was very much different. Okay, what were we? We were non-aligned. In reality, obviously, we were not 100% online, because these are basically the ideas that every country wants to achieve. But that Cold War, that two camp, one is Wassenaar Agreement by led by USSR, and another one was NATO. Okay, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, that was basically led by USA. So those camps impacted our foreign policy, and we chose a third way. Okay, we chose a very distinct way. All right, we neither joined the Western camp, we neither joined the Eastern camp. Now there is no Eastern camp, because Eastern camp was basically reflected by the socialist ideology, and we chose a non-aligned way. All right. Yes, but it is often said that India, or basically the USSR was plan B of India. Okay, but that's a very different thing. We will be studying in the non-aligned policy. Okay, non-aligned movement. All right. So international, my only point here is to tell you that whatever happens at international level, whatever happens at the global level or at the world level, so that definitely for sure impacts the foreign policy of any country, not just India. All right, so just write it. The global environment affects the decision making of every country. The global environment affects the decision making of every country. Now, right, what does global environment includes? What does global environment include, right? Hmm. Lika, what does global environment includes? So, right, it includes war or peace situation, comma, global stability, or power balance. And write one more thing, no country in the world is independent of the global situations. ठीक है, कोई नहीं होता इंडिपेंडेंट. See, in these lectures, there is a lot of continuity. So I would request you all to not miss any lecture, please. Okay. So, for example, like if you miss the lecture where I will teach you the foreign policy under Rajiv Gandhi or PV Narasimha Rao, if you will miss that event, no, so that will basically impact all your further lectures. All right. So don't miss it. All right. So tools, है ना? So just put a heading in the center of your page, tools. Now we will make this. Right. Let's write this. So these are the tools how a country carry forward its foreign policy. All right. So now let's understand these tools. What does these tool means? So diplomatic channel. Okay. So diplomatic channel is basically a track by which we basically negotiate. All right. What we do, we basically negotiate with the other country. We send our ambassadors, okay, so diplomatic personnel basically abroad, and exchange those people from those countries. Also some diplomats are there in our country, and we basically negotiate, we sign various treaties, we take part in international negotiations, we negotiate bilaterally, multilaterally, okay. Even what we do is, we basically nowadays, so it is happening that we are sponsoring multilateral arrangements. For example, International Solar Alliance, it's a alliance that is basically led by India and France, okay. And this is not at all new. See, United Nation organization, UNO, was formed and its charter was signed in 1945. At that time, India was not at all independent, it was under Britishers, but still was a founding member to UN. All right. So these are the tools that we use, and this is not a new tool, okay. um, do you all know about something about Hindu scriptures, some stories and all? So there was a concept of Narad Muni. Huh? There is a concept of Narad Muni. So he is considered to be as the ancient diplomat. Okay, yeah, that's regarded. That's basically, those are written scriptures. No, so according to those scriptures, he is basically the person who is taking information from one part of the world to the another part and sharing it with the another person. All right. So that is the ancient thing. Okay, and even during the time of Ashoka, during the time of Mauryan Empire, after that, even in every Mughals, Delhi Sultanate, everywhere there were basically the proper channels how those countries used to maintain their relations with the abroad monarchies. Or, and even in Indus Valley civilization, we have the evidences that we have found some Egyptian seals in India and basically Indian seals there. Okay, so we had the channels to talk, we had the channels to negotiate. All right, so it's not at all new, and this basically, this is the tool that is highly recognized as the best tool. All right, it's the best tool. Now economic tool, what we do is, at the economic level also, we see, no country in the world is self sufficient. All right, no country, because of the basically uneven distribution of the resources. Some country has basically some resources, other lacks those resources. India don't have the crude oil, so India imports that crude oil. India has a very good agricultural soil, okay, so basically India exports the agricultural products. All right, we have very good quality apples in Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, so we basically export those apples. Okay, we have grains, we export it. We don't have crude, we import it. For that, for basically dealing with those countries, we carry forward with the economic tool. And what are those economic tools? Like basically signing the agreements, okay, signing the memorandum of understanding, signing the memorandum of agreement. All right, so basically those trade negotiations goes on, okay. And when sometime what happens is, now I don't know whether you have that weapon with you or not. I'm very skeptical about this, okay. I don't know whether you might be carrying, so it might be there in my mind, okay, because we now, when these are insufficient between two countries, okay, during the Cold War, this thing only happened. USSR was very much suspicious about USA, and USA was very much suspicious about USSR. Now, for example, you three of you are the USSR and I am US. For example, now I am always skeptical in my mind that you might be basically proliferating your nuclear weapon, you might be having some weapons for destroying me. Now when these two channel fails, these two channels are basically the best channel for CDM. See what CBM, confidence building measures. All right, by doing the diplomatic channel, by signing the economic agreements, we build confidence between the two countries. But when these two channels are not sufficient, now there comes the military channels. Okay, now what is the military tool? Military tool is basically increasing your military preparedness. Okay, proliferating your weapons. All right, strengthening or building your technology. Okay, in terms of military. All right, so that is also a tool of foreign policy. Okay, now if another country will not basically they will not obey to what we want them to obey, now we will threaten them by using our military. Okay, that happens at the world level. What USA do, it basically obviously baat hai, when USA wants some another country to follow its instructions, so when the country refuses, just like the case when Iran refused to basically sell the crude oil in the rate that the USA wanted, so they basically invaded, they used the military tool to basically get the other country to follow their instructions. All right, so this happens at the world level, so that's the another tool of foreign policy. All right, so these are the three tools. So below these tools are right below the diplomatic tool, right, three things: negotiation, treaties, and international organizations. Treaties and international organizations. Please watch the first lecture. ठीक है, प्लीज वॉच इट. ओके, आपके पोर्टल पे है ये वाली क्लास? पोर्टल पे नहीं है? व्हाट्स योर बैच नेम? राइजर्स. अच्छा, अभी तो एडमिन टीम चली गई होगी. तो आपका तेजस. अच्छा, तेजस यही वाला है, मतलब जो इवनिंग बैच है वही है ना आपका? तो हाँ, ठीक है. आई विल आस्क देम टू ऐड यू आल्सो. ओके, तो आपका भी वही है ना, राइजर्स? ओके, आपका तो यही है ना? आई विल आस्क देम टू ऐड यू आल्सो इन द पोर्टल, और बेसिकली यू कैन आल्सो वॉच इट ऑन यूट्यूब. ऑलराइट, तो यूट्यूब पे फर्स्ट क्लास है ही, है ना? कुछ क्लासेस तो रहेंगी यूट्यूब पर, ठीक है, इनिशियल क्लासेस, तो यू कैन वॉच देयर. ऑलराइट, अच्छा, अब देखो ये थ्री टूल्स हैं. नाउ राइट इन द इकोनॉमिक टूल, राइट ट्रेड अग्रीमेंट्स. ट्रेड अग्रीमेंट्स राइटिंग सही की आपने? नहीं होगा? करो प्रैक्टिस, है ना, थोड़ा प्रैक्टिस करो. आपकी कैसी है? हाँ, योर राइटिंग इज ना ना इट्स लेजिबल. लेजिबल. अरे योर राइटिंग इज गुड. थोड़ा गैप बढ़ाओ वर्ड्स में, है ना, थोड़ा सा, है ना, छोटा ज्यादा लिख रहे हो, है ना, थोड़ा बड़ा करो. अदरवाइज ठीक है, लेजिबल है. गुड राइटिंग इज नॉट रिक्वायर्ड, नो एक्स्ट्रा मार्क्स फॉर गुड राइटिंग. ठीक है, the only marks is for legible writing. If I'm able to understand, then that's okay. Okay, all right. So economic tool में write trade agreements. Trade agreements. So now there are sanctions also. Sanction is also a way to basically ask the another country to follow what the other country wants. Okay, so for example, USA wanted that we must not buy oil from Russia, so they imposed sanctions on us. They wanted that India must not basically use the Chabahar port in Iran, so they imposed sanctions. They wanted India to cut all its ties, so that's a part of their foreign policy. They wanted India to follow that, so for that they did not have diplomatic channel because we denied them. They did not have the military channel because it's not at all easy at the world level to wage a war against another country, so they basically recourse to the economic channel, that is sanctions. All right, so what is sanction? They will say, if you will continue doing this, if you will continue basically buying the oil from there, we will basically impose some extra taxes or duties on whatever things you are importing in our country. All right, so that's a channel of economic tool of foreign policy. All right, so sanctions. Now, right, next, even now what we do is we basically want to no, there are various channels, okay, of diplomacy. Now, we have ancient relations with Afghanistan, and Afghanistan comes in our neighbor only. All right, and it's very much required that we have good relations with Afghanistan. Now, what we do is, because there is Taliban regime, so that's why we are not openly maintaining very good relations with Taliban, okay, because at the world level the image also matters, and we are very skeptical of Taliban, okay, we are not very much sure, confidence is not there. So what we do is we basically give them aid, okay. We have already constructed parliament there the parliament is constructed by India only, there the hospitals, schools are constructed by India only. We provide them aid, we provide them investments. All right, so that's also another tool of basically foreign policy. We want good relations with them, we can't go for any other channel, so we go with the economic tool of aid and investment, right, aid and investment. In the military tool, so right, increasing military preparedness, increasing military preparedness. And now you have your military well at place, okay. Now another thing is alliance also, you can sign various alliances. All right, so right, alliances. One more thing is strategic deterrence. Strategic deterrence. What is this? To deter, to stop. All right. Now, what I will do is, I will not fire on you. What I will do is, I will just keep arms. I will just keep. I will not fire it. But what will happen by doing that? You will never imagine of firing at me, because you know I also have arms. All right. So uh, this is a very important tool. All right, to project yourself in such a way that the another country will think 100 times before basically starting any kind of conflict with you. That is to deter strategically, okay. What stops us from waging the full-fledged war with Pakistan? Their nuclear weapon. Mad child with a loaded gun. If that gun falls in the hand of that, and even why USA wants the power to remain with military there in Pakistan? Why the USA, the head of the state of US, the president of US, is having the meetings with Asim Munir? Why so? They want actually the military to be there. Why? Because when the arms will fall in the hand of just military only, na, so military, there are chances of some sort of stability, because the civilian government is not at all working good there. Okay, so that's why they want that. All right. So strategic alliances. All right. So these are the tools. All right. Now, just write, no, not write, but just try to remember this in the way of just a formula, and that formula is HGEDI. Okay, that's HGEDI. Now, H for historical, G for geography, E for economic, D for domestic, and I for international. Okay, so write this HGEDI. All right. So this will help you to just remember what are the determinants of foreign policy. Okay, HGEDI. Okay, historical, geographical, economical, internal, external. All right. Okay. HGEDI. उनको डरा किस ले रहे हो? हैं? डरा नहीं रहे? अच्छा, चलो। तो अब देखो एक मेजर टॉपिक है evolution of India's foreign policy. You were late, just giving you a recap of what we studied. So what was basically the policy of Britishers? Okay, so first we will start with the overview of the foreign policies of first the Britishers, then basically we will moving forward to Jawaharlal Nehru, then to Indira Gandhi, then Rajiv Gandhi, then PV Narasimha Rao, then Manmohan Singh, and then to Modi. So this is the chronology. Okay, we will be following studying the foreign policy of these. So foreign policy, as I told you, why to study the foreign policy of Nehru? Because obviously present prime minister is also following the older foreign policy, because foreign policy can never be made in a watertight compartment. It can never be separated from the pre-existing foreign policy. All right, even some elements are ancient also, some elements are medieval also, and some elements in the foreign policy of India are of the Britishers also. Okay, so and even because you know that the line, the boundary line between India and China, earlier between India and Tibet, was basically also made during the time of Britishers only, McMahon line. All right, so other lines, so our boundary is exactly decided by the Britishers. Our already existing foreign relations are basically more over, I would say, the elements are continuing. All right, so those elements, yes, there might be change in the outlook, but there are more over the similarities in what we call the substance. All right, so the Britishers' policy was the policy of buffer state. Okay, so they basically maintained the line of two lines of buffer state. The external line was with Afghanistan, Iran, Tibet. The internal line was with Nepal. Okay, this आपका Bhutan. So these were basically acting as the buffer state. All right. So they basically used to create this, and at that time, you know that the boundary line of India was very large. Okay, because Pakistan also was a part of India only. Bangladesh was also a part of India only, and until you will read better in history, until the Government of India Act of 1935. Okay, I'm not very good in history, but still telling you, in 1935 the administration of Burma was also with India only. It was separated, so the administration was very large. All right, so it wasn't small. So just give a heading, uh, evolution of Indian foreign policy. And in that, right, British Indian foreign policy. British Indian foreign policy. थोड़ा क्लास का टाइम बढ़वा दूं? नहीं? क्यों? अच्छा, कितने बजे से कितने बजे तक है आपकी साइकोलॉजी की? आप ये पेन, हाँ बताओ कितने बजे आपका है? हाँ, तो 3:30 टू 5:30 होती है आपकी। अच्छा, और यही मतलब प्लूटस नहीं? अच्छा, और फिर दिक्कत होगी। मेरा ऑफिस टाइम 7 बजे तक है। नहीं, दिक्कत क्या होगी फिर? 3:30 तो, लेकिन आप तुरंत नहीं आ पाओगे। 10 मिनट्स यू वांट? नहीं, 5 तक है आपकी क्लास वहाँ, 5:30 तक है। तो मैं एक काम करता हूँ, आपकी क्लास 6:40 to 7, चलो मैं देखता हूँ कुछ, है ना, लेट मी सी। हाँ पक्का पक्का कुछ देखेंगे, है ना। हाँ नहीं नहीं, कुछ करेंगे कुछ करेंगे, कुछ तो करना होगा। ठीक है, चलो। तो ऐसे लिखो, ब्रिटिश इंडियन फॉरेन पॉलिसी। ऑलराइट, ब्रिटिश इंडियन फॉरेन पॉलिसी। ठीक है, तो इसमें लिखो, द लैंड बाउंड्री, द लैंड बाउंड्रीज ऑफ ब्रिटिश इंडिया फॉर्म्ड अ वाइड आर्क। ठीक है, फॉर्म्ड अ वाइड आर्क फ्रॉम द
कैन यू रिपीट?
हाँ जी, क्या क्या
कैन यू
पूछ
रिपीट
लूं?
लास्ट लाइन?
हाँ हाँ, व्हाई नॉट। The land boundaries of British India formed a wide arc from the western to the eastern side. तो देखो जो आसपास की कंट्रीज थी, except Iran, I would say, Afghanistan, Tibet, Nepal, Sikkim, and even Sikkim was तो बहुत time तक was a just a protectorate state है ना, even Sikkim was also there. तो Sikkim हो गया, even Bhutan, Burma. So Britishers never considered them as any threat. Okay, they never considered as any threat. In case they basically included them under the government of India, then also it was a very big problem. But because then the boundary line of India will extend, so what they used to do is they used to create them as a buffer state. They used to go there, send their ambassadors there. Even militarily, they basically try to overthrow their government and try to install the puppet government there. And the government that was then installed by the Britishers, its responsibility was just to internally administer that state, and the external responsibility was in the hands of the Britishers. All right. So write this thing: except for Iran, the relations with Afghanistan, Tibet. What's your name? Muskan. Okay. Afghanistan, Tibet, Nepal, Sikkim, Bhutan, and Burma. In bracket, you can write Myanmar. Was handled by the British government of India. Majorly by the policy called as buffer state policy. ऑनलाइन स्टूडेंट भी जो आप आ सकते हो क्लास, सो प्लीज ट्राई टू कम टू क्लास. ओके, तो क्लास में आना ज्यादा अच्छा होता है. आई एम जस्ट कमिंग इन 1 minute. ओके. So, right, what was the buffer state policy? ठीक है, तो अब बफर स्टेट पॉलिसी क्या थी? It was a policy used by the Britishers to create buffer states, right? It was a policy used by the Britishers to create buffer states, as simple as that. Use two pens, for one for the question and headings and another one for the content. Okay. Policy used by the Britishers to create buffer states. All right. Now, right, what is the meaning of buffer state? The buffer state क्या है ना? क्वेश्चन है ये तो लिखो, ऐसे तब पढ़ने मजा आता है. लिखो ये, और ये है मेरा स्टाइल, ठीक है. जो स्टेट्स, जो स्टेट्स होते हैं जो आपस में राइवल होते हैं, उनके बीच में सैंडविच, सॉरी इन इंग्लिश, two states which are rival to one another, like this hot dog. So the real patty, that the state which is a patty state that basically is in between two rival states is called as buffer state. All right, right. A buffer state is a country placed between two powerful rivals. Country placed between two powerful rivals. To prevent a direct conflict between them. To prevent a direct conflict between them. And right, the Britishers, the next point, right? The Britishers followed a policy of keeping friendly and weak states. Friendly and weak states between the British India and its powerful rival. Between the British India and its powerful rival, to prevent any kind of direct conflict with them. To prevent any kind of direct conflict with them. ठीक है? तो any kind of direct conflict with them, right? So now the thing is, in these states, these buffer states were basically the states that had their internal autonomy but no external autonomy. All right. So their basic characteristic was that they were not at all allowed to maintain any kind of foreign relation, because their foreign relation was decided by the Britishers, so that in case the other rival state wants any type of concession from them, they will not be able to grant them. All right. Clear? So, right, what were the features of these buffer states? बड़ा लिखो, थोड़ा बड़ा लिखो, बड़ा लिखो, साइज बढ़ाओ इसका, मीटर्स नहीं छोटा करना है, उसको बड़ा करो एकदम. What were the features of these buffer states? लिखो, first point, they had internal autonomy. But were not allowed to conduct their independent foreign policy. but were not allowed to conduct their independent foreign relations, you can write. Okay, next point लिखो, they had to keep other foreign powers out. Okay, so and therefore their sovereignty was limited, and therefore their sovereignty was limited. Okay, अब देखो एक कभी व्हाट्स योर ऑप्शनल आप सभी का, आपको तो बताया था आपने क्या है, जो आप लोगों का साइकोलॉजी, इलेक्ट्रिकल इंजीनियरिंग, ओह नाइस, मैंने तो पहली बार देखा तुम्हें, बट गुड, आप लोगों का सोशियोलॉजी, कोई बात नहीं, वो तो हाँ हाँ वो तो हो जाएगा। तो पीएसआईआर है किसी का? अच्छा नहीं है तो चलो बढ़िया, कोई नहीं है ना, तो बिकॉज वो एक चीज थी, फिर मैं एड ऑन बताता, वो फिर आप यूज कर सकते हो, बट चलो सुनो मेरी बात, देखो here it is कि now this policy was followed by Britishers, and there is something we study in basically political science only, that's called as satellite state. Okay, now for example India was a satellite state to London, all right, during the time of colonialism, all right, but here the main thing is these buffer states were not satellite states. Okay, these were not satellite states. These states were buffer. Why? Because they had some sort of autonomy. They were completely not under the control of the Britishers. But they had limited sovereignty. All right. तो अब देखो जो completely उनके कंट्रोल में है, ठीक है? हाँ, so those which are completely under their control. All right. So now to right next point. To follow this policy, the British developed a defense system called as ring fence system. Ring fence system. All right. So, right. By this system, या ऐसे लिखो पहले, what is ring fence system? By this system, the British had two layers of buffer states around India that created a layer of protection against the external rival powers like Russia, China, and Alexander. So, right. इतने में शुरू हो जाते हो हैं? क्या हो, कोई प्रॉब्लम? Not country. It was basically in Europe. Okay, it had a greater influence because at that time there was no country at all. Okay, it had a basically greater influence in the parts of Europe. All right, Greece. ठीक है, ठीक है. Now, two layers of defense, and you're from Bengal, Bihar. Dialectics. And even yes, Nepal was also there. So this was basically the ring fence system. All right. Now there was something called as ठंडी लग रही है इधर देख रहे थे. हाँ ध्यान दो, ठीक है, दोनों जो है अलग बैठोगे अब से. एक तो जब टाइम मिलता है तब बातें करते हो, ठीक है, बात नहीं कर रही थी. अच्छा, ठीक है. अब देखो मेरी बात सुनो. समथिंग कॉल्ड एज रसोफोबिया वाज देयर. ठीक है. अब रसोफोबिया वाज द फियर फ्रॉम सार. ऑलराइट. सो अब व्हाट वाज रशिया वाज डूइंग, they deliberately started capturing so many of the other regions. All right. For example, there was a region Samarkand, okay, that finally came under the control of Russia. In 1865 they basically captured Tashkent. All right. Like in 1866 they captured Bukhara. All right. So no need to basically name all these, yeah, remember all these names. All right, but just giving you a basically glimpse. So Merv was a place that was captured by the Tsarist regime in 1884. All right. After that they came very close to Afghanistan. All right. So they came very close to Afghanistan, and now the Afghanistan was a real buffer state. All right. And now, so see the timeline. In 1865 they did this, the 66 they did this, 68 they did this, and 84 they basically captured all these four places nearby Afghanistan and other parts of Russia. Now, and this was the time in 1878 for the second time Britishers invaded Russia. All right. So that is why we say na, see, what is politics and what is history? History is the politics of past. What happened, what politics happened in past, history is that only. And what is basically politics? The history of present. Present is going to someday become history only, and what is today, it is politics, so it is the history of the present only, no. And what is past is the politics of the past. And history, what is history? It's the politics of past. All right. So that's why at that time you will study in this history only that for the second time the Anglo-Afghan war happened, you know, and reason was this, because Russia was coming very close. They wanted to have a very tight control, but Afghanistan is considered as the graveyard of empires. No power, no single power could have ever ruled over Afghanistan. Okay, even Russia, oh sorry, US, never, never ever, like they were never able to rule over Afghanistan. Okay, finally they exited, leaving Afghanistan in the hand of Taliban. Right, so this thing happens. So now this created a basically Russophobia. All right, so just note, है ना? Just write a note. All right, from 1960s onwards, British became increasingly worried. British became increasingly worried about Russian expansion. About Russian expansion in Central Asia. Full stop. And by capturing several places, Russia came very right. By capturing several places, Russia came very close to Afghanistan. And uh, this fear of Russian expansion is called as Russophobia. देखो they were very much fearful because at any point of time, if Russia invaded India, then Indians will be very much basically aggressive on Britishers, because Britishers were ruling in India on the belief that was inculcated by the Britishers in the mind of Indians that they are superior. And the time Indians will get to know that someone can defeat them, the Indians will definitely defeat them. This only happened the with this war of Afghanistan only, you know, because in war of Afghanistan they were not able to basically establish their complete control, and this some sort of this mentality came in Indians that this empire is not that great which they are claiming. All right, so because of this Russophobia was there. These बोलते हैं ना, in Hindi I don't know the English word, but कांपने लगते थे भाई. They used to shiver. The British Empire used to shiver by the name of Russia. They will come. Huh? So this was the fear. All right. Now in Afghanistan they created a Wakhan corridor also. Just writing a short note on this also. So this was basically the border. All right, so in 1893 the India Afghanistan border basically was demarcated, and in 1895 the Afghanistan Russia border was demarcated. All right, so for example, this is Afghanistan. All right, this is Russia, and this is India. All right, now this border was first demarcated, then they demarcated this border. All right, so as to stop their aggression. All right, so just right, so to prevent direct contact between the Russia and British India, the British created या चलो लिखो, द ब्रिटिश क्रिएटेड अफगानिस्तान एज अ बफर स्टेट एंड फिक्स्ड इट्स बाउंड्रीज. Right. What was Vakhan corridor? In this point only, you'll have to write this. What was Vakhan corridor? This was a physical buffer, all right. Now, for example, this is Russia and this is Afghanistan. Now, a thin few kilometer strip of land. This was Vakhan corridor that was kept as a buffer. For example, the armies from Afghanistan, if they will come here, it will take some time for them to reach here. It will be a buffer, all right. So, a piece of land demarcated as a boundary, all right. In the modern convention, also there is something called as no man's land. uh, in between two countries, some strip of land is there, okay, that no one claims, all right. So it belonged to no one. So such a thing was done, okay. So right, it was a narrow strip of land in Afghanistan that separated Russia from British India and acted as a physical buffer. What separated हाँ हाँ है ना, रशिया फ्रॉम अफगानिस्तान. या क्या लिखा, एक सेकंड रुको, वापस से लाइन बताओ, क्या लिखा तुमने. हाँ इट्स हाँ ब्रिटिश, ठीक है, यस ब्रिटिश इंडिया एंड ब्रिटिश इंडिया. फिर क्या बोला मैंने, हाँ एक्टेड एज अ बफर, बफर स्टेट, ओके. या एक्टेड एज अ फिजिकल बफर, हाँ एक्टेड एज अ फिजिकल बफर. लाइन की ना कॉन्टिन्यूटी कभी कभी हो जाती है ब्रेक में, फिर याद मेरे कौन सी वाली बात बोली थी. तो लाइक दिस ओनली, ऑलराइट. नाउ अब इनकी एक और टेक्निक थी, पता है. इतने डरे हुए थे, they were frightened to the extent that they basically made a imperial committee, all right. In 1902 they made this committee, and after the installation of this uh, Soviet government, na, after this Russian revolution, okay, this Russian revolution happened in 1917. So from 1902 until 1917, imperial committee worked, okay. So imperial committee, because imperial committee was basically, on one side there was military commander of the Britishers, and on other side there was the cabinet, okay, the cabinet of the of basically Britain, all right. So they had this close touch so that they can have a touch. So there was a committee, all right. Now this committee, even after, so they had a threat from Tsar, okay. Tsar was the ruler of Russia, okay. So they had a threat from Tsar. Now Tsar government was overthrown. Now came the socialist government in basically in Russia, all right. So USSR now became formally got instated. Now the main ideology of USSR was anti-imperialism, and Britishers were the peak of imperialism. Now committee still remained there, all right. This committee, even after 1917, now after 1917 they had this thing in their mind that now the Tsar regime is going. Now we can basically be relieved of the tensions of this aggression of Russia. But now the Russian, now new government Russia was completely on the principle of anti-imperialism. So up to now what will happen, so just right. um, Now next, completely next point. So to protect India and British Empire, they created Committee of Imperial Defense. in the year 1902. Write this like, fast. Okay. So right to they created this committee. Okay. So now, no need to write much about this committee because that's a historical thing. Okay, now we just have to deal with the political aspect. So this committee was basically created to deal with it. Okay, now in 1907, okay, 1907, because they knew that in case Russia invades India, in that case they they don't have any resource to basically tackle with that invasion. All right, they don't have that resource. All right, so they knew this reality. Okay, so what they did, they signed a convention with Russia. Okay, so write the next point. Since Britain could not fully defend India militarily from Russia, it chose a diplomatic solution to it. Okay, and signed defend India militarily from Russia. They signed Anglo-Russian Convention to settle their rivalry in Asia. To settle their rivalry in Asia. Anglo-Russian Convention. To settle their rivalry in India. Leave one paraline. This smaller space. Okay. And later on, during the First World War, Britain, France, and Russia became allies. Now, one more thing, I don't think it will basically be in this class, but like explanation will be definitely done. So now one more thing is left in the topic of foreign policy of India during the time of British. That is how they maintain their relation. We just understood about the Russian part. Okay, now we just have to understand about the China. All right. So China was also basically coming very close to India because China was deliberately during the Qing dynasty. All right. So there was Qing dynasty there in China, and it was very much aggressive near the India's border. All right. So it was basically deliberately exerting its aggression on Tibet. All right. Even one Amben, the name Amben was there of the representative of China posted in Tibet, right? But yes, his role and duties is not clear. But yes, one representative was also there, and it was deliberately committing aggression over Tibet, all right. But one thing here is China was a very big market. Okay, China was a very big market, and because the economy of Britain was dependent upon selling their manufactured goods, okay, in other countries, because they wanted market. So they wanted market in China, and that was the main reason they did not wanted to anger China. Okay, they moreover wanted to maintain good relations with China. At least they don't wanted to anger them, right? So that was the thing. But yes, they tried their best that China must also not reach very near to India, and they basically moreover recourse to the diplomatic channels, okay, to basically deal with China. Okay, so just write one question like how British India dealt with China, right? So they moreover wanted some sort of good relations only, all right, with China. So just write, okay, um, British relations with China were moreover complicated and inconsistent. Okay, write this thing. So British relations with China was moreover complicated and inconsistent. Okay, complicated and inconsistent. British government in India wanted to stop the Chinese aggression. British government in India wanted to stop the Chinese aggression near Tibet and Himalayas. Okay, near Himalayas. All right. Now, right. British government in London also wanted to maintain good relations with China because China had a good, yeah, huge potential market. And they were moreover confused. Okay, so uh, had a huge market potential, and right, and that is the main reason why Britishers in dealing with China were confused and even contradicted. That's why they in dealing with China were confused and contradicted. Just write one more line. That will be more than enough. Okay, just write one more line. So Britain sometime resisted Chinese aggression, yeah, resisted Chinese influence, sometime resisted Chinese influence near India, but did not wanted to anger China due to their trade interest. Once there was a time when my writing habit was this only, like book ekdam perpendicular, and then this was my habit also. But later on, because अब तो कम लिखना होता है, तो लिखना ही कहाँ होता है, तो now gradually it reduced है ना. So I can recall my habit was also this only. So one recommendation or suggestion, please improve on writing. Okay, so to whomsoever I told, है ना, थोड़ा word को बड़ा करो, ठीक है? Any problem, any confusion? No? Why no? मतलब, don't see like this. Obviously, there must be some sort of confusion there because no one is perfect. See, okay, because and just watch the first lecture. Please do watch the first lecture. Every strategy on how to deal with IR is basically told by me there. Okay, in the first lecture. Any online students, any problem? No problem.
No problem,
Okay.
sir.
All right. So we'll be dealing with this in the next class. Okay. Until bye bye.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome.